On this episode, we discuss God Help Us, the Oogieloves and the Big Balloon Adventure. Hey everyone, welcome to the Flophouse. I'm Dan McCoy.
Co-starring Stuart Wellington.
And with Elliot Kalin as himself.
That's pretty good, guys. I like it. I like the new direction we're taking.
Jazz.
What?
I added some jazz to the opening.
Oh, okay.
Quick, pull up Wikipedia.
I mean, it is. I don't know what
Don't
you
type in
I thought you
jazz.
were
Type in
saying-
Oogieloves.
I thought you were saying that was like the new title of our show.
Jazz.
I wasn't. I wasn't thinking of the musical form jazz. I thought. I
Yeah,
thought
this is
was
now
like
the show Jazz. Stuart plays Detective Mike Jazz. He's a New Orleans
I
detective.
thought it was maybe a Jag spinoff.
No, I'm his sidekick.
Yeah, it's Jag's younger brother. He's a New Orleans detective.
I'm his sidekick, Gizmo Gadget,
Okay,
and you're the chief.
I like it.
The chief
You're
dies
always
in the
asking
first
me
episode.
But then your ghost asked me to hand him my badge
Yeah.
every episode, basically.
Somehow, when you're the ghost, but you still have the same job.
So it might be hard to tell from that introduction, but
But we're broken men.
we are a podcast that watches bad movies and then discusses them. And tonight,
So you don't-
Oh, brother.
boy,
Oh,
have we got
grandma.
a baddie for you?
So what you
Calling
should do
the
is-
chickens from the yard.
Fathers, knock up your daughters. Because watch out,
Wow,
you're gonna have to repopulate the earth after this one.
we watched a little film, and when we say little, we mean it because it
Well-
was a box office bomb.
But strangely huge film and strangely overdone movie that is also
Yeah.
tiny.
Its shadow looms over many, many lesser shitty movies.
Oh, it looms over human civilization. Yeah,
We watched a
something
movie called,
slouching towards Oogieloves. There's
a movie called Oogieloves, the Big Balloon Adventure. Or in the Big... Wait, was it...
House Cat is trying to stop us from it. It's called The Oogieloves in the Big Balloon
Okay,
Adventure.
all
The Big Balloon Adventure.
Now, that points up something interesting about this movie, which was when it was first being advertised, I assumed that the Oogieloves was something that
Existed.
existed,
Sure.
that people knew about, that I didn't know about because I'm a childless man, but this was surely a...
Well, it would be weird for you to know about it.
popular...
For a grown man with no children
Sure.
to know children's television characters would be creepy.
But I assumed that, okay, this is something that I don't get, but it has a huge following.
That's why they
among the
made a
children,
movie.
and they
That's
made a
why
movie of it.
why the title
Like a
is
Blue's Clues sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why the title is not. Well, that's also the slogan for Jazz is real
Blues
life
Clues.
blues clues.
Real life Blue's Clues.
Because you solve the crimes by you play your magic saxophone and it highlights the clues.
No, but I
Perfect.
assumed that this was a new thing because it wasn't called, say, Introducing the Oogieloves.
It's not called the Oogieloves. It's not called the Big Balloon Adventure. It's called the Oogieloves in the Big Balloon Adventure. So you
Your
assume
favorite stars,
people-
the Oogieloves.
people
are
must
finally.
It's
know-
a continuation.
they know the Oogieloves and they are demanding they be in an adventure of some kind. And if that
Preferably
adventure-
balloon-related.
Well, the thing is it a big adventure with balloons or is it an adventure involving big balloons?
Well, luckily the movie answers that question.
The
Yeah.
balloons are normal size.
I gotta
Yeah.
say, before I saw this movie, another assumption, the Oogieloves get in a big hot air balloon and go someplace.
Nope.
But they do not.
Nope, they do not.
Not even
It's
close.
about regular helium
No,
balloons.
the closest they get is when they get into that flying sombrero powered by the power of dance that Christopher
We're-
Lloyd and Jamie Presley own.
We are
Of
getting
course,
way ahead
of course they had to
ourselves.
get in it. That was the only way they could cross the weird field that they couldn't walk, run, or,
Or ride
their
bicycles
bikes on,
because
yeah.
that shitty llama posted those
The
signs.
fucking dick that showed up at the party at the end. Who invited him?
Yeah, who invited this llama that was
Well,
getting in the way
maybe
of the balloons?
Maybe at the end of the day, they might not like him, but they respect him and his
Guys.
adherence to park rules.
to the rules, the
Guys.
discipline.
Right now, there are listeners across America saying the Flophouse has descended into madness.
They are right.
They're talking about the merest
Sure.
gibberish. This surely does not make any sense. But I
Well,
think we
should
need
we
to talk
ex-
about the plot.
Well, the first
Such
thing
as
to
it
know
is.
is your assumption that the Oogieloves were a thing that existed and they made a movie
Was
out of it
incorrect.
was wrong. This is a movie made by some of the people involved with the Americanized version of the Teletubbies,
Mhm.
and I assume from putting that show out, they realized the lesson that kids will watch any shit as
Yeah.
long as it's brightly colored and has made up words in it. So let's go through the movie and introduce everybody to the Oogieloves because nobody saw this film. So I'm
This is going to
watching
be
this
the
movie.
most concise description of this plot that exists, right?
Well, I'll see if I can stretch it out. Okay, so the Oogieloves, they introduce us by the beginning by just talking to the audience.
Okay.
They are 3 horrific costumed characters named Gooby, Zuzi, and Toofy.
Imagine the Garbage Pail Kids crossed with Barney.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. Now, they each have their particular personality. Gooby is into science. He has glasses.
He keeps talking about how things are science-tastic.
Science-tastic. Zuzi can speak any language, but her catchphrase is sparkalicious, I think.
Yeah.
And it's feminine, right?
And she's a girl.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
what
girl.
young
It's
girls
feminine.
like.
And,
Things that are sparkalicious.
Yeah.
And then
Things
there's
with gratitude that are sparkalicious.
and then there's Toofy, the awesome party
the
guy.
steward of the group. Yeah.
Very much the steward
He's
of the
totally
group.
the steward.
And his thing is that his pants fall down all the time. So also the
Just
steward
like
of the
stewards.
And he likes to have fun all the time.
he comes out and says, "I'm Toofy, and I like to have fun any way I can," which is or something like that, which is creepy.
No holds barred.
You're in Toofy's world now.
There's no safe word here.
Are they in a band? Yes.
They are in a band.
And they're the Oogieloves. They never quite explain what an Oogieloves is,
Yeah,
but
at the
they
beginning-
are them.
At the beginning of the movie, they explain so much about the Oogieloves, except for what Oogieloves is and why.
But they also tell you, the audience, anytime you see, what is it, like a bird flies across
Butterflies.
a bunch of butterflies fly across the screen, it means get up and dance with us. And when a bunch of turtles crawl across the screen, it means
Sit the fuck
sit
back
your
down.
ass down.
Sit down.
Sit your ass down. The Oogieloves are in charge now. Anyway,
but I think we have to explain though that this was supposed to be the big innovation of the Oogieloves.
Is you would show it in a theater
Yeah.
and it would be interactive. And according to Wikipedia, the creator of the movie was inspired by going to see one of the Medea movies in the theater and noticing that black audiences shouted back at the screen and
Wow.
thought, if only I could harness this racist observation for kids. That's what Wikipedia says. So at those moments, kids are supposed to get up, sing along, dance. It's not just a movie; it's an interactive experience in that you can do, but only in the way that every movie is, because you could do this during any movie.
But also,
So do you think we missed out on anything by not watching it in its
We-
intended setting?
we did do a little
a theater
singing
full of
along
screaming
and
kids.
dancing.
We did take turns taking part with the dancing and the singing, and I got to admit, it didn't make the movie better, but it did help drive me to madness quicker.
I want to say though, again, as a childless man, perhaps I'm misunderstanding something, but it seems to me that parents take their kids to the movies
To shut them up.
as a respite from this sort of behavior, not to encourage them to be loud and dance around. But again, I
No,
might
to
be
tucker them out
misunderstanding.
so you can get them to bed quicker, right?
Yeah, so that you can have
It's
romantic
faster
time.
than sneaking some whiskey in their milkshakes or whatever kids drink.
Yeah, yogurt.
Yeah. They're
Go-Gurt.
singing whiskey in their Go-Gurt. Just taking a syringe
do
full of
that?
whiskey and just injecting it into their Go-Gurt tube.
Yeah.
So let's go through the plot, shall we? What there is of it. So the Oogieloves wake up.
That's a big part of it.
It takes about 28 minutes. They sing about, and they're woken up by their friend Windy the Window, who is a talking window with a face and a southern accent.
Like a zombie sort of fellow.
Yeah, she's very much a zombie.
It's a lady zombie, but she's a window, and she has none of the verve and joie de vivre and charm that zombie has. And
or
zombie,
the gay camp.
and zombie. Let's remember, in real life, director of Twin Sitters.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy, and we love him. So they
Windy
realize
the Window, we there's no
we don't know any,
reservations. We
yeah,
hate
she's
her.
never worked with the Barbarian Brothers. Schloofy, their
Okay.
friend who's a pillow, who's
Yeah.
still asleep, it's his birthday. And they're going to plan a
This
surprise
pillow
party.
has a birthday. Let's back up. This pillow is having a birthday.
Yes.
So they have to have a party for this pillow.
Now,
Okay,
and
so
their friend, J. Edgar, who is a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, that makes sense.
Get it? J. Edgar Hoover. It's the kind of joke kids shouldn't get because they should have no knowledge of America's crime fighting and civil rights intrusion past. He's coming along to help them create a surprise party for this pillow.
And he's sort of an ineffectual buffoon of a
He
vacuum cleaner.
Now he has glasses also, but he's not smart, and I believe he's coded as Jewish because he's very high-strung and nervy, and he fucks up instantly by letting go of the 5 magic balloons that they were going to give to Schluffy.
That's the perfect gift for a pillow. That's the thing.
Oogieloves love balloons. The more magic, the
Yeah.
better.
I wasn't quite sure what happened. It seemed that maybe the vacuum cleaner was alarmed by the singing mice that he
There's
encountered on the road.
A peacock
While he was
leading-
trying to go up some steps.
and this is
Already a problem for a vacuum cleaner.
and the vacuum cleaner was singing and dancing at the same time too.
Yeah. So
now-
he lets loose of these 5 golden magic balloons.
and they fly to all ends of Lovey Loveville, the place that they live.
Mhm.
He comes by. Oh no, my balloons! We only have 2 hours or whatever, or 4 hours until Schluffy wakes up or something.
Sloopy.
Schloofy, sorry. And so they have to go all over Lovey Loveville to find the magic balloons.
20 minutes later, because they have to like
They
put
dance.
on clothes and then do this
Oh.
weird breakfast
I
song.
forgot about that already. That they have to change their clothes, and that although they this is good screenwriting. In Act 1, they lay the seed that Toofy's pants are going to fall down by having him say, "Toofy, put on a belt," and he goes, "I hate belts."
Uh-huh.
That's all the
He
explanation
sounded
you
way
need.
more badass.
But
though.
also,
He was like, "Oh, I hate belts, dude."
yeah. But then,
yeah, now you're getting it.
but then
And they also
Lady Oogieloves says, "Hey."
Lady Oogieloves.
I don't know her
name
fucking
is
name.
Susie or something.
She says, whenever his pants
How
falls down,
dare you?
you have to say this stupid
You
rhyme
yell,
about...
"Goofy Toofy, pull up your pants."
Yeah.
It's terrible. So,
Foreshadowing
so,
an entire day of pants falling down.
so they've got no time to lose to get these balloons. But
Mhm.
first, they've got to eat breakfast, which means the vacuum cleaner's going to sing them a long song about pineapple pancakes, and they're just throwing pancakes around. Pancakes are flying. This goes
Winnie
on.
the Window says they're the best pancakes in the world, which doesn't quite make sense.
No, how is a window eating pancakes? There's also it's implied there's some kind of flirtation between the vacuum cleaner and the window, which is
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. A vacuum cleaner has a crush on a window in this universe.
As Dan said while we were watching it, hold on a second. So that vacuum cleaner wants to fuck that window. Now,
But also, I said this too. Like, I'm mystified by a world in which some inanimate objects are alive, but some aren't.
what's kind
So
of
for some reason, the vacuum cleaner is tooling around and has friends and feelings.
It's like Goofy and Odie.
I
dude.
was just
but, like-
well, Goofy and Pluto. You mean
And Odie
Yeah.
from
Odie,
Garfield.
Odie is in a different universe, plays by different rules.
But how do you
But I was gonna
decide
say,
which
it's-
inanimate objects is
But it's
is
just, well,
alive
it's
and
just
which-
like in Stand By Me, they talk about Goofy and Pluto. They're both dogs, but one of them can talk and wears clothes, and the other is just a dog that
yeah,
is
but
a
at least
pet.
both of
One
those
step
are
further
living
along the
creatures.
evolutionary trail.
I assume that Pluto had a lobotomy.
So you're
Okay.
saying at one point there was a mutation in a vacuum cleaner that made it sentient?
Yeah, and in a window, yeah.
All right, sure.
Maybe radiation caused it. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he was bitten by a radioactive human.
And it gained the proportionate nervousness and arms of a human. Now, they sing a song. There are a lot of songs in this movie. We just watched the movie literally 10 minutes ago. I can't remember a single one.
No.
Except, and I'm going to try it like, it's, as one of you guys mentioned during the movie, it's like when I make up a song off the top of my head for this show, but worse.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like, milkshakes, making milkshakes, moo moo, milkshakes, having some milkshakes. Like, that's a song they would do in it.
Yeah. This is not like, say, the Muppet movie with beautiful songs by Paul Williams.
No,
This
Paul
is-
Williams was not involved in this.
This was they
No
found a
Williams is
hobo.
involved. No Williamses wrote these songs. Not even Venus Williams. Not even Billy D. Williams.
They tossed 25 cents at a vagrant and they're like, all right, now it's talking about pancakes.
Do it. The pancakes, pineapple pancakes, upside down pineapple pancakes. Great. Here's some more paint thinner.
Such a
Write
talent.
us a song about a flying sombrero. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through the people the trials they have to go through to get these balloons.
Sure. Herculean tasks.
The 5 labors of the Oogieloves. Now, Hercules' tasks were to get over the guilt from murdering his family, right? So I
Yep.
assume the Oogieloves did the same.
Very similar.
Okay.
That's why they feel why they have to throw a great party for their pillow friend is that they, I don't know, cut his arms off or something?
Because the pillow, more than anything, seems like, like
He's
someone,
suffering from some kind of mental trauma.
or he's like a veteran who lost his limbs. Like,
What's it
there's
like-
something really, later they're carrying the pillow around at the party, and it's really creepy.
Yeah, any creature that, number one, doesn't talk in a comprehensible way, and number two, has no limbs,
Well, that's the other
is
thing.
going to read on screen as someone who's had like maybe a
A
terrible car accident, or
terrible
something,
catastrophe
and-
has befallen. Well, because Schloofy sounds like this. It's like if kind of like Gizmo, but not intelligible in any way. So okay, here they have to go through these different trials. First, The first golden balloon's on top of a tree. In the tree is a giant tea kettle tree house. They call it a tree kettle. They meet a girl wearing surprisingly tight clothes for a kid's movie who's obsessed with squares. Meanwhile, her Aunt Dottie is obsessed with dots.
Cloris Leachman.
Played by Cloris Leachman, Academy Award and Emmy winner, Cloris Leachman. They sing a song about dots, and they dance about dots, and then they use a ladder to climb up the tree and get the balloon. Okay, great. They got
Perfect.
one balloon.
And then we find out, that's when we find out that the magic balloons grow faces when you grab them and then do magic shit like float you down.
Float you down, or just go like, hey, you can do it. Oh, and at the end, just so we don't forget, we should say at the end, the balloons demand kisses from the audience. After all the balloons are caught, they start floating away again, and they demand kisses from the audience, and they say, love is the most powerful thing. More kisses. So you're supposed to blow kisses at them. It's super creepy.
These balloons are the creepiest thing.
But that's jumping ahead. So they've got one balloon. The next one they find out is attached to the has been caught on a cow at Marvin Milkshake's milkshake parlor. Now Marvin Milkshake is, of course. Now, who would you cast to play a goofy diner milkshake diner owning hepcat?
Probably Christopher Lloyd.
No, wrong.
Probably Cary Elwes.
No, he comes up later.
Probably Tony Braxton.
No, if you're thinking
some sort of tough Italian, maybe.
If you're thinking a Bronx Tale writer star, Chaz Palminteri, then yes, Chaz Palminteri plays Marvin Milkshake. And I'll give you this. There are a bunch of stars in quotes in this movie. They give it their all. None of them phone in what they're doing. They totally give it all the energy they can.
Well, I mean, I think they sized up this movie and they're like, the only way this is going to work is if we totally commit to it. And they were wrong, but not because of what they did. They were wrong because the movie was never going to work.
Yeah.
But it wasn't their fault.
Now, they sing a song about milkshakes. They have to win a milkshake drinking contest to get the balloon. And it turns out their fish, Ruffy, who I forgot to mention they bring with them. And
they're wisecracking fish.
He's the one who's like, hey, forget about this. Ay. That kind of stuff.
I hate milkshakes. Oh.
He's the Benjamin J. Grimm of the group, if you will. And there's a part, he goes, milkshakes, I'd rather drink salt water. Wait, I already do. I'm a fish. A lot of jokes in quotes.
In a
like
fishbowl? Saltwater? Really?
Yeah, well, he's a saltwater fish, In a
little fishbowl, though?
Well,
Don't they have to have a special filtration system?
Water?
They should, and he's drinking. Look, this is a fish that plays by his own rules.
Okay.
Now, the fish drinks the milkshake. They get it, and
he drinks that milkshake.
Marvin Milkshake. Marvin Milkshake does a lot of this. He's like, "Hey, glad you got your balloon back." Ooh,
yeah.
Which I want to believe that's what Chaz Palminteri brought to the roles. That he says "ooh" a lot.
Mm-hmm. And this is a great scene.
Let me mention also that the cook who makes the milkshakes at this
potentially his wife
is this horrifically realistic cow puppet with rhinestone glasses on.
Mm-hmm. And this is a diner full of extras that are dancing along and looking both happy and a little sad.
Oh, this rivals the McDonald's dance scene from Mac and Me for kids who are sadly giving it their all in a crappy dance number. Okay, they got the second balloon. What's up next? Well, by the way, they're finding out where the balloons are located because Windy Window, who can see all because I guess she has drones everywhere, is showing it to J. Edgar, who then talks to them on walkie-talkies. So the next one is caught on an airplane at the airport, which belongs to Rosalie Rosebud, played by Tony Braxton, who is a singer about to go on a world tour, who also is allergic to roses but loves them, and sings a song about how she has a cough all the time.
The things we love kill us in the end, Elliot.
But it's also it seems to be an instructional song for kids, telling them that when they're sick, they should cough, which is weird because I feel like that's an involuntary thing that happens.
Kids have to. You forget because you were so young, but you had to learn that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. You would just reach into your mouth and pull out hairballs and things. You had to learn how to cough.
My head would inflate from all the snot.
Yep.
Cough it out. Come on.
And it's a nice slow number because at this point the kids are probably all excited. They need to chill out.
Slow jam.
Yeah, they need a slow R&B jam. And they get the last balloon. They float up to wherever. And they use a trampoline or
I
something.
think he makes I think one of them, the science guy, makes a trampoline out of
his
her
name
boa.
His name is Gooby.
Gooby, yeah. He makes a weird trampoline.
Yeah, and he jumps up to where the balloon
is. Now, you may be confused. Gooby is not a giant imaginary teddy bear.
This is not that Gooby. This is the American Gooby.
Different Gooby. This is not Robbie Coltrane.
This is not that's
his signature role.
That's Earth 616 Gooby. Yeah. And this is like a what if Gooby. What if Gooby was an Oogieloves? Well, they've got 3 of the balloons. They're almost done, right? Well, looks like they've got to get the most disturbing of the balloons. That's right.
Oh, man.
It's attached to the top of the truck of Bobbly Wobbly, or Bobby Wobbly.
Thank you.
Played by Carrie Elways, and he's a cowboy who owns a bubble business and also walks with a wobble because he's insane.
Apparently the truck, I guess he's shipping bubbles around.
I think the bubble business is in the truck. And Carrie Elways,
There's a point where a smile becomes a grimace.
Yeah, he has a rictus on his face, and
ask if it's possible to commit too much to a role, and the answer is yes.
Yes, and it's Bobby Wobbly's Exhibit A.
It's almost the horror of Jim Carrey's Fire Marshal Bill character.
Yeah,
that's true. It's that level, but it's like he is so much more frightening than like Heath Ledger is as the Joker,
or like Pennywise the Clown,
or Dennis Hopper as Frank Booth. Like there is something so much more frightening about Bobby Wobbly, and you're right, it is very Fire Marshal Bill, and it really cemented Carrie Elways. I always thought of him as the poor man's Val Kilmer, but now he's also the poor man's Jim Carrey.
And there's something about his crazy, over-the-top, wobbling smile performance when it's next to the emotionless Oogieloves characters.
Yeah, we have to say that these are giant full-body suit puppets, but
they're very plush. They're like giant Muppets, but shitty.
The mouth barely moves.
The eyes,
they
just look side to side.
Yeah.
And occasionally there's a slight flutter of their eyelids, like the synapses are exploding somewhere deep within their cushiony heads.
So, I mean, just imagine the most irritating voices you can imagine paired with the least expression-giving faces.
Even more irritating than my voice coming out of them.
Yeah. A voice that has been described as douchey on the AV
Club. I was described
douchey.
As douchey. My voice was described as shitty. Let's get it straight, okay? These are my press clippings. Okay, so they dance with Bobby Wobbly, I assume fearing for their lives the entire time, and about how great it is to wobble. Then they convince a bird to fly up and get the balloon for them.
And there's something kind of eerie seeing normal humans interacting with the Oogieloves, because you're nervous that they might accidentally, like these Oogieloves that are much larger than a normal human.
Very big, especially since they're supposed to be kids, I assume.
That their like childlike brains mixed with their larger than human bodies might accidentally crush one of these poor Cloris Leachmen.
Well, they're basically Lennian of mice and men.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They don't know their own strength. They might crush somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or trip, because they don't seem that agile.
No, they dance
Pants
a lot,
are
though.
always falling down.
Mm-hmm.
Dance in quotation marks a lot.
The Oogieloves is giving me hiccups for some
Oogieloves
reason.
has destroyed Elliot. He's got hiccups now.
Yeah, too much fizzy lifting drink and too much Oogieloves.
Should I take over the thing? Or
No. There's only one balloon left to go.
All right.
So
hang on, Schloopy. Schloopy, hang on.
Meanwhile, Schloopy is
Poor Schloopy.
is threatening to wake up at any moment and then doesn't.
Schloopy, comatose Schloopy.
Schloopy.
Poor Schloopy, yeah.
With an F.
Yeah.
Why would you name a pillow Schloopy? That makes no sense.
retarded.
Poor brain damaged quadriplegic Schloopy is threatening to wake up at any moment and have his birthday
surprise ruined because he doesn't have 5 magic talking balloons.
Yep.
Now,
like a continuation of Metallica's One.
Yep. So they have to get to a windmill to get the last balloon, but a shitty llama won't let them won't let them ride their bikes or run on the grass.
That sounds crazy when you say it.
So it's the only way to get across is to flag down a giant floating sombrero.
Of course, that makes
owned
sense.
by Lola and Lero Sombrero, played by Jamie Presley and Christopher Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like a climax.
Jamie Presley does almost all the talking, and Christopher Lloyd communicates through his bongo drums. And they dance because that dancing is how the sombrero is powered, and they go and get it. Like, oh no, they get to the windmill, then they have to play a flute to make a tulip grow so they can climb to the top so they can use the fish to finally grab the balloon.
So you're making this sound like it's some sort of computer game. Use fish on windmill? Yes, you throw the fish and it gets the balloon from the top of the windmill.
They got all the balloons. Great. They're riding back. I don't remember why, but the balloons get loose. They float away. The power of kisses brings them back.
Of course.
And then they go and they present Schloofy with his birthday party.
The balloons sing a very creepy song.
Very creepy song. And all the characters we've seen through Windy the Window express their birthday wishes to Schloofy
by spraying stuff on him.
They spray rose petals or feathers or dots or whatever.
Mini
all the bullshit they're
obsessed
with throughout the film.
Yeah, this parade of Harvey Comics characters. And now the Oogieloves sing a song and dance a dance that goes on for, like an hour?
Yeah.
And the audience
multiple times impeaching the audience, imploring them to give to
take part.
And to agree that this is a great movie.
Yeah, and to lose themselves to the magic and the music and the passion and love the movie.
Lose yourself in the music the moment.
Yeah, you own it. You never let it go.
Yeah.
8 Mile, Oogieloves. Now, the audience is invited to take part in the dance. The audience declines the invitation. And then the movie is over. And we're all poorer for it. We were all 97 minutes. No, it was 87 minutes.
Thank you.
Poorer for it.
So this was a tightly plotted film, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that even at 87 minutes, roughly 95% of it is filler.
I mean, this movie tears me in a certain way because I feel like if it had worked, it would have been a perfectly fine thing for very young children.
Yeah, sure. This would be a great movie for 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds if it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, who need to jump around and scream shit and like that's entertainment for them. But it is so insane and so disjointed.
Well, and it's so dumb and like I mean, kid dumb is one thing. Like kids can enjoy dumb stuff, but I can see a kid just finding this stupid.
I mean, and everything that's in it is so half-assed. I mean, we talked about how they give the characters their things, which is one of them scientific, one of them's a party animal, and one's a girl, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, she can speak any language,
even
including animal tongue.
She speaks a lot of animal languages.
But none of those things like really come into play.
She speaks animal all the time.
She speaks to that toucan, puffin.
A puffin. She speaks to a puffin. She speaks to a cow. She speaks to a llama.
That's like a special skill. That's not a personality thing.
And the science guy uses science constantly. Mm-hmm. And the party animal is kind of a goof off and his pants fall down.
Yeah. He's cool but rude.
He is very rude and very cool. Just like Raphael.
If Raphael and Michelangelo had some kind of a turtle baby.
And instead of a turtle, it was an Oogieloves.
It'd be him. And
do you think that's where the Oogieloves came from? Is they are the inbred children of Ninja Turtles? That's why they're so
It's
horrifying?
only possible.
I mean, I do
especially when you consider the Ninja Turtles, I'm assuming, are all male.
Yes.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out Donatello was passing. It was actually a woman all this time.
I do appreciate a world where all the peoples of the world, whether they be Oogieloves or vacuum cleaners or pillows or humans, can come together and have a party.
Yeah,
and whatever other hand puppets you can find around the workshop.
Yeah, because they're all the animals you've seen in the movie.
Hey, you want some raccoons with rubber gloves on? We got like 10 of them.
Yeah. Here's some mice that are doing something. Now it is a half-assed movie though. Like the songs sound like they were written in about 10 minutes, all of them. There are a lot of crappy effects. There's one part where Dan pointed out we were watching, they very clearly looped some footage while the Oogieloves are waiting for something to happen, as if they didn't have enough They didn't have 3 more seconds of them just standing there.
Yeah, they couldn't just be like, all right, we need to run this, for another 30 seconds. We just need a shot of the 3 of you in costume standing in one place. They looped the same, 1.5 seconds of them standing around over and over again, waiting for the sombrero to land.
Let's just say, also, the choreography is lackluster. This is hardly a Bob Fosse film.
I mean, if I didn't know better, I would have assumed that, a small troupe who put on this show at nursery schools or whatever that got 1 or 2 good receptions were like, oh my God, this would be great if we could translate this into an hour and 27-minute long feature film.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't look like a movie that cost $20 million, which apparently it did.
I mean, most of that probably went to Cary Elwes.
There's no price high enough to get him to play Bobby Wobbly. Was that it?
Yeah, it's not Bobbly.
Bobbly Wobbly?
No, it's Bobby.
Bobbly Wobbly.
Okay, wait. And his toucan character. So
Puffin. Her name was Penelope.
It's not a toucan, though.
No, it's not a toucan. So I guess what we're saying is this is a good movie for driving someone crazy. Like it felt at times like this is a movie that either. And
it opens without credits.
There's nothing. You're just thrown into it.
Indicate what you're watching.
It's like this is a movie that was designed to play to prisoners of war while you're interrogating them, or it's a movie that Like, if I...
Certainly the film quality is no indicator that you're sitting down to watch a major motion picture.
Halfway through the movie, if I had suddenly woken up in a hospital bed... It is very well lit. If I had suddenly... It has the quality I like in my softcore pornography, and that it's well lit.
And that you can see everything.
If I had, halfway through the movie, suddenly woken up in a hospital bed with a fractured skull and just blood loss, and they were like, you were muttering something about Oogie-wa? I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was muttering Oogieloves.
I was muttering Oogieloves, but I guess I hallucinated the whole thing.
Yeah, I was muttering Oogieloves. And by the way, get Hollywood on the phone.
Tell them never to make this.
Oh,
I feel like it's rare that you see a movie where you're like, I wish I could travel back in time to stop this from happening. But basically this and Cannibal Holocaust.
You would have had to go back to 2009 because this movie sat on the shelf for 4 years because they were trying to patent its shittiness.
They're trying to patent the idea of interactivity.
And we all know that existed already in that movie that Christopher Lloyd, I think, was also in, where you made the decisions over what the main character was going to do. What was it called? Mr. Robot or something? Do you guys not remember that?
Man. Yeah, you
dialed you just bored Dan to tears with your story, dork.
There was a movie where
I know
you chose which way the story would go
or whatever
with a remote, and they advertised it multiple times at movie theaters I went to as a kid, and it never arrived. I'm going to look this up while we're talking.
Okay.
Because people realize
while it's using the internet.
Want to choose your own adventure movie.
No, they want a movie that it tells them a story and they can forget about their life.
I think that because we are talking about... I think it was
called Mr. Payback. I'm going to look it up.
We're talking... That sounds right.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about a movie for very small children, there's not actually a lot of depth we can get into. I think we should move on.
Sure, good movie. Let's go on.
100%. I think it's a hard movie to describe and go over when you're not watching it with us.
Yeah.
Because it's so stupid.
Everything that happens is arbitrary.
Yeah.
Is this a good, bad movie, a bad movie, or a movie you kind of like? Stuart, what do you have to say for yourself?
My review is based on whether or not I think any human beings that are... I mean, maybe a little kid would like it, but I would say it's a bad movie for anybody but the littlest of children.
If you are of an age when you can operate under your own body parts, I guess, then this movie is too young for you.
Yeah, I would say this is a bad movie with the caveat that if you were drunk or stoned, this is probably exactly what you want to watch.
Yeah, if you're stoned, you might really enjoy this. I think if you are stoned or 1 year old, you would like this. Otherwise, it will be excruciating.
Put it on the VHS tape, not a DVD. Put it out in VHS. If you were stoned or one, this is the movie for you.
Or a stoned 1 year old. If you are high and you and your 1 year old want to bond, put on the Oogieloves movie. You can dance and sing to your heart's content. And yes, the movie I was thinking of was called Mr. Payback.
Well, there you go.
Starring Christoph Lloyd.
Christoph Lloyd.
So do we all agree bad movie? Or Stuart, sure. I know when you lay down in despair during the movie on the floor, that was because you liked it, right?
Face down.
Down on the floor. Never have I facing away from the screen, might I add.
It was not just that the movie was bad, but it was telling me I had to do things.
It's one thing to let a bad movie just
I'm
wash over you.
I'm not going to throw you my kisses. You have not earned that movie. So, before we get into other plugs, I'd like to quickly plug something on behalf of 2 out of 3 of the Flophouse wives. This podcast will actually be going up one day, probably in front of the Oscars, so you don't have a lot of time to take advantage of this. But my wife, Sarah,
last name withheld.
This is a screening of the movie Oscar with Sylvester Stallone.
Close.
And Kirk Douglas.
She's organizing an Oscar pool to help fund number 1, cancer research, but number 2,
poop.
Her taking part in a triathlon where the funding goes to cancer research. It costs $20 to enter this Oscar pool. Details on submitting ballots will be on the Flophouse webpage. But basically, why can't I get the email address? All right, there's an email address. It's
you're losing them
at the Flophouse. Just go to the Flophouse podcast at flophousepodcast.com.
You'll text everybody the details later.
Are you making this up as you go along? Just go to Oogieloves at oscarballot.edu.gov/internet.
For some reason, it's not in my email. I sent it to myself. It's not in my email. Go to the Flophouse Podcast webpage, which is the Flophouse.
This is the biggest twist I've ever seen on the Flophouse.
And they will
Flubhouse.
The mystery of the missing email.
There will be
everyone's a suspect. I think it was Lulu the cat.
Jesus Christ, guys! Come on, I'm trying to do this thing, and you're actually
we're ruining it.
Hold on, it's OscarPoolTNT@gmail.com. OscarPoolTNT@gmail.com. The TNT does not stand for the network; it stands for Team in Training, which is the
Team
group
in Training
that Sarah's doing the triathlon with. So it's
dynamite.
I will put up a link to the ballots on the Flophouse page, and the winner will get a cash prize to be announced at a viewing party at Charlene's Bar
in Brooklyn.
And what else is going on in that party at Charlene's Bar?
On Sunday.
I mean, I'm going to be there drinking probably.
No, it's like there's a holiday.
No, that's the day before.
That's the
Jesus
day.
Christ. I'm trying to get through a whole thing, and you guys are slowing me down.
A movie podcast.
Here are the bullet points. Oscar Pool, Charlene's Bar, Brooklyn, Sunday, 2/24. $20 to enter. There will be a link on the Flophouse page for the ballot. You don't need to be in New York City to enter. This helps my wife reach her fundraising goals to participate in a triathlon with Team in Training, and helps Stuart's wife make money to feed the Flophouse house cat. All proceeds go to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Booze.
And you know that Gus from Don't Tell It Me, It's Me, Don't Tell It to Me was a survivor of Hodgkin's disease, so they could be saving a Lobo Merengue by donating money to Team in Training. And now that we're done with
if you had it all written down, why didn't you just read it off?
Classic.
I was trying to. You kept fucking interrupting me with unrelated things, like the Purim party, which is the day before.
And the day that we're releasing this podcast, so people probably won't be able to get a costume put together.
They got to rush out.
Oh, God. That was a fucking mess.
What a tragedy. Now what do we do?
Hey,
should we plug our network?
Yeah, I think we should.
Dan?
I've got a few all things comedy plugs. Ari Shafir's comedy special, Passive Aggressive, is available at chill.com/Ari Shafir for $5 under the self-distributed model that is so popular among comedians these days. And you got The Bitter Buddha, a film starring Eddie Pepitone, is coming to theaters and video on demand on February 19th, featuring many of Eddie Pepitone's friends like Patton Oswalt, Sarah Silverman, and Zach Galifianakis. You can find the trailer for The Bitter Buddha on YouTube. So those are a few plugs on behalf of our friends over at
It's on video on demand, so you can just watch it at home.
Yep.
You don't even have to get dressed up nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to put on a tuxedo like you normally would.
Or a tuxedo, as Stuart often does.
Yeah.
Film watching.
Well, the fuck not. So now what do we do?
He's in his own home.
Now
what happens next, Dan? We interrupt you some more?
Do we have to watch the Oogieloves again? Because I'd say no.
I think it's time for us to go on a big balloon adventure to letters.
This is where we talk about letters that we've received. The Flophouse movie mailbag, if you will.
Letter time at the Flophouse. Letter time with all of us. It's your friends, Stuart, Elliot, and Dan. Not real friends of yours. You just listen to us talk about movies. Pretend we're your friends. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But we're great guys. Except when we belittle you, the listener, which was right now.
It's one of the three different ways. Time. It's really one of the three different ways our fans can and let us know how they feel about our show. One is on our Facebook page. Yeah. One is with letters.
Join
and one
the
is
Facebook
just
page
complaining about us or other bad movie podcasts on the Onion AV Club's commentary
So if you've heard about that, there's 3 ways to get in touch with us. 1, Facebook page. That's where you go if it's a positive comment. 2, letters. That can go either way. And 3, AV Club comment section. That's if you hate us.
So
letter time. It's the letters for you and 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 for you.
I think he's stuck.
Letters, Oogieloves edition.
This letter's titled "Seriously, Bros, Let's Get Serious." It's from a gentleman called Butt McFarterson. I think that's probably
hard to get serious when that's the guy you're getting the letter from.
Sure. Says, "Hey, duders, I'm a big fan of your podcast. It's funny and shit. Dan McCoy is a pretty cool pervisoid who loves boobs, which is rad. And Stuart is a
this when I was drunk.
But I've got a real question for you guys.
So nothing for me. No description for me.
You're a dweeb.
I've got a real question for you guys. What's up with Elliot?
Uh-oh.
He tells hundreds of terrible jokes all the time. He's a riffer. It works well once an episode, but how do you guys keep him sneaking into the locker room during classes, breaking into his locker and snapping his glasses?
You know we're not kids, right?
Is it because he got you all jobs? Is it because he broke both his legs climbing a mountain? Does he have imminent death syndrome? Does he always buy the Popeyes? Because if I have to hear him bash Dan's terrible joke-telling abilities before immediately spinning around and telling terrible jokes one more time, I will lose my shit violently in my pants. Well,
wow.
From Butt McFarter.
I mean, it's hard for me to...
Sounds like his ancestors' job was losing their shit in their pants.
Yes. Son of farter. I mean, right now the stakes are very low for me to stop making fun of Dan telling jokes, since all that's going to happen is Butt McFarterson's going to poop in his own pants. So I think I'm just going to keep going until you give me a better offer. Do not appreciate how I'm criticized in that email.
Yeah, well,
at least attack my songs. I know they're not very good.
It's a technique called negging. You use when picking up a girl.
Oh, now I'm really interested in him.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to draw your attention.
Consider it. I'm going to learn more about this McFarterson fellow.
This next email is titled Secret Alliance. It's from Matt, last name withheld.
Matt Kerman.
Dear Elliot, Dan, and Stuart, two of you have secretly been in an alliance to remove the third from the podcast. Please synchronously reveal to the third that he has been voted off the podcast. So that's from Matt.
Stuart.
It seems pretty clear. I mean, we don't bring anyone else. I mean, we're in cahoots with Al Magical, right?
Yeah, Al Magical. Yeah, he's going to take over my spot.
And bring this new character, the House Owl. Woohoo!
Yeah, I got some other irons in the fire. Yeah, I got some TV I want to catch up on.
It's got nothing.
What's going on Good Wife?
It's just Al has what we call star quality.
Yeah.
Wow. No, he brings name value.
Star quality. That's what it's called, right?
SQ. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Stuart, this isn't the way we want
you to
find out.
Is this my last one? Or?
This is, unfortunately, this is time for your review. Let's take a look at how you've been doing so far this year.
Could have told me before we watch Oogieloves.
Nope. So let's take a look. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself in the area of movie riffing?
Probably a 2.
No, I think you get at least a 3.
Okay.
Okay, now in the area of recommending the same movies over and over again, 1 to 10.
I'd probably only say a 1. I don't do that very often.
10 plus. Okay, now boob appreciation from 1 to 10.
I'd probably say a -4.
Actually, a -7.
Oh, wow.
You are gay, it turns out.
Okay, well, you guys want to go on a date?
Sure. Well, you're back in the group. Cool. That's all we wanted.
We're both simultaneously super accepting of our homosexual date with Stuart and super acceptant of polyamory, apparently.
Hey, look, it's the 21st century. Time to get with it. We're all going to be married in space someday.
It's like an Alan Moore comic book. Let's
go.
Here's your space ring.
Yep, we're just like Alan Quatermain and Mina Murray and Orlando having a 3-part relationship.
Just like the original authors intended.
Maybe Virginia Woolf intended.
This is titled Metal Up Your Ass.
Hey, the original title of the first Metallica album.
It's from Eric, last name withheld. He says, Dear Floppers, I just listened to the Rock of Ages podcast and enjoyed hearing Elliot's 2 references to the 80s output of Metallica, along with his desire to have heard Motorhead's classic Ace of Spades sung by the stars of Hollywood.
No, I didn't want them to sing it. I wanted Motorhead. I wanted Lemmy to sing it.
He's a star of Hollywood. Continue.
Before...
I'll allow it.
Before, I thought Elliot was an annoying know-it-all with a high-pitched voice.
What is it? So did you cultivate just a selection of Elliot bashing letters?
He's been slowly working on this one.
But now, after seeing his closet metalhead come out, I feel I have an honest kinship with him.
Oh, thank you.
What are, in order, Elliot's 5 favorite metal albums from the 80s? You can count 1990 as part of the decade if you want to squeeze either Megadeth's High Point, for me at least, Rust in Peace, or Slayer's Seasons of the Abyss onto your list. Sincerely, Eric's last name withheld.
Well, Eric, that's an interesting question. Not having any off the top of my head, I'll just say off the top of my head, well, you got to have Kill 'Em All by Metallica, and you got to have Ride the Lightning by Metallica. I think maybe Power Slave by Iron Maiden.
I think that might be 90s, dude.
No, it's 80s, I think. And
although I do remember my mom playing Rime of the Ancient Mariner for me.
Mm-hmm. and you were just a wee lad.
Yep.
And let's say the 80s songs that are on Megadeth's Greatest Hits album, with some of their 90s songs sprinkled in there.
Sure, and you're missing Bathory's Under the Sign of the Black Mark, of course.
And of course, since we've said 80s, it outlaws one of my other favorites, which is Judas Priest's live album, Unleashed in the East.
Okay, so we got a bunch.
Mm-hmm. That was the Flophouse Metal Corner.
Flophouse Metal Mailbag. Thanks, Eric. For any other metal questions for me or Stuart, just write in. Dan will answer questions about 80s pop hits.
I mean, I've got,
He's got a little bit of an edge. Come on, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
I can do punk and post-punk music.
There you go, yeah.
I'm just not a metal guy.
Metal Guy was the name of a superhero that we briefly tried to pitch.
It was when when Superman was dead for a while.
Yeah.
So we needed a guy who was kind of cool, but not as cool. So we called him Metal Guy.
Metal Guy. And they stole the idea and made it Steel. We did pitch the idea of Shaquille O'Neal being his true identity.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the actor playing him, but he is Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player.
Yeah, he was much more successful in real life than he was as a superhero.
This next email is titled Ding Dong Gate Revisited. Sorry.
We have to reopen that chapter of flop history.
New evidence comes to light, I'm sure.
Let's see. So the theme of this is bashing Elliot. So how are they going to pin Ding Dong Gate on me?
Okay, this email is from Jerry T. Robot. I assume the T stands for the.
It has to.
And
or Thaddeus.
He says, "Hi, floppers. I just re-listened to your Passion Play podcast, and I wanted to weigh in on the raging controversy that is Ding Dong Gate."
Stuart's right. Everybody else is dumb. Awesome.
First, while it is true that Giorgio totally bites off a prostitute's tit, he also bites off a police officer's eye and cheek, literally eats that prostitute out to death, and possibly also eats the skin of a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Second, contrary to Dan's recollection, Giorgio's penis is fully attached to his body throughout the film. I don't think that's true.
We're going to have to go frame by frame, people. Frame by frame.
Although it is admittedly disfigured. I'm surprised such an observation...
Almost freakish.
I'm surprised such an observation
Almost Castle-y.
escaped Dan's renowned purview. Well, look,
hilarious.
It's a heterosexual purview, but thank you.
Dan, sexuality is on a scale.
It's fluid.
It's very fluid, and yours is extremely fluid.
Yeah, it's like something out of a Clive Barker novel, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Boom, high five, Gogurt.
And third, prior to Giorgio's romantic interlude with Sylvana, the aforementioned prostitute, he rips off his own thumb in order to free himself from his shackles. This is where I think the initial confusion began so many years ago, because Giorgio's body is so gross that his discarded thumb kind of looks like a little ding-dong. Having hopefully shed some light on this controversy, I'd like to address a larger thematic concern, the way your podcast generally treats Castle Freak. The Flophouse treats CF as if it is some kind of horror movie. Quite the contrary. Castle Freak is a musical. It's a heartwarming coming-of-age story of a blind girl, the Castle Freak she loved, and the society that refused to accept their unconventional relationship. In the end, the titular freak and the father of our heroine lay dead next to each other. It becomes clear to all that the only freak in the movie is society's rigid understanding of class and gender roles.
Yeah, it's a real Johnny Belinda remake.
A timeless call for tolerance. Keep up the great work. Best podcast around, Jerry T. Robot.
And the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature goes to Castle Freak.
Sweet. I mean, the original title was Children of a Lesser God 2, Castle Freak.
To the Castle Freak? Oh, man.
So, Stuart, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I think I'm right still, but I've been wrong in the past.
Flophouse listeners, if anyone knows Stuart Gordon, get him to weigh in on this issue.
Mm-hmm. Have him come over to Dan's house. I will provide the beer. Elliot will provide the chicken. And Dan will provide, I guess, a couch.
Yeah, a couch or two.
So, Stuart Gordon.
Weigh in on Ding Dong Gate, which is apparently back again.
Yeah, it never left, man.
This is probably our most organized podcast we've ever done.
Yeah, Oogieloves has a way of doing that. It's like a neutron bomb being shot into your brain.
And Oogieloves was the least successful film in history, right?
Worst opening for a movie appearing on 2,000 screens or more.
So it beat Delgo.
It beat Delgo, former Flophouse fave Delgo. And it won, according to Wikipedia at least, the amount that it made was roughly equal to $47 per theater that weekend. And
does that include popcorn sales?
I have to assume it's just ticket sales. I I assume it's not pop. I assume no.
What about nacho sales?
I assume no popcorn was sold because one, you're going to be getting up and dancing. The popcorn's going to be flying out of the box. You're not going to have time to eat it. Two, who's going to do the popcorn trick in an Oogieloves screening? That's disgusting. And three, I don't know. But what the numbers come out to is that average number of people per screening of Oogieloves was about 1.8 or something like that. Less than 2 people per
0.8 like a kid? Or?
I think they're just averaging out.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, the final email.
So if you saw Oogieloves in the theater, it's very likely you were the only person in the theater or you had one other person with you.
And you should count yourself kind of lucky, like you are part of an elite group. That
it's
saw
the
that
way I
movie
felt
as it was intended.
When I found there's a Japanese, oh no, sorry, not Japanese. There's a Chinese movie called Devils on the Doorstep that I saw when it ran at Film Forum for like a couple weeks, and it was an AV Club article about it where they mentioned that on its American release it made $16,000, and it made me feel really special that I was part of this tiny group that saw this movie,
like a Kickstarter.
Yeah, basically, it was like we were the Kickstarter for the American, translation of this movie. But anyway, I realized by watching the movie, the three of us with a cat in one room, this might be the largest audience that the Oogieloves movie ever played to. Largest single group.
All right, well, let's close out the mailbag with this last email.
Closing up the mailbag. Sip it tight, don't let those letters out. Letters want to jump and scream and shout, but zip up the mailbag, keep them in. Christ. Suffocate them, makes it easier to bury them. Mailbag murder those letters in the mailbag.
The Mailbag Murders, starring Carrie Elwes.
Sounds like a case for jazz.
So this
sorry, Carrie Elwes as the mail.
As the mail, Jazz is on the case.
Final email is titled
after he bought that magical saxophone off that gypsy.
His final email that we may not have time for anymore is titled "Why I'm Never Listening to Stewart Again."
Yeah, we probably don't have time for this.
No, I think we need to find out this is it ding dong related.
It's from Ryan, last name withheld. He writes, "I was recently visiting my parents and decided to peruse through the on-demand section of their cable provider. I stumbled upon one section with a completely nondescript title I've already forgotten. It contained a possibly endless list of films. I was in the low 1000s by the time I hit movies beginning with the letter H. And as far as I could tell, it was a compendium of seen-by-nobody B-movies from the 80s and 90s, with an odd sprinkling of significantly more well-received films, such as Capote and Field of Dreams. What caught my eye, though, was a certain film called Head of the Family, Unrated Edition. I don't think I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through such a horrendous plotting disaster that left me more confused than terrified. I don't know what is different in the unrated version, but I suspect it has something to do with the endless deluge of Jacqueline Lavelle nude scenes. I dread the day when I am startled by the sudden appearance of Invisible Maniac or Castle Freak in my life. Regards, Ryan."
This is, I think, the first complaint we've had off of a recommendation. Stuart, your rebuttal?
Well, I guess I've earned that.
I have to say, if someone's complaining about endless Jacqueline Lavelle nude scenes, I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, then there's nothing we can do to help you. You want something else than we can offer.
Head of the Family is a totally stupid movie.
So you're saying it's not totally scarifying?
Or snorifying.
Unless you're totally spookified by a giant melon-headed telepathic, I guess, enemy.
Like MODOK.
Yeah, he's basically a MODOK.
He's basically a cut-rate MODOK.
Head of the Family is for someone who enjoys the idea that there's a giant head
of the family.
The head of the family.
And if you mess with the head, you're dead. I mean, the fucking box tells us that's what it says on the poster.
Yeah, mess with the head and you're dead. And Jacqueline Lavelle takes her clothes off.
Now,
come on, guys.
I know of you guys.
This movie has it all.
When you're visiting your parents, you sometimes want to be taken to a different world. In this case, you want to be taken to a world where there's a head. Who's the
and if you mess with said head, what happens to you?
You'll end up being dead. I don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah, the titular head.
When our listeners are considering one of our recommendations to watch, okay, if you want to feel smarter, more enriched by the experience, you go with maybe an Elliot recommendation.
Yeah, come on, A Life of a
Put on
Haru.
your fucking black and white movie watching glasses and watch one of Elliot's.
Just glasses if you need them.
When you're on a plane, you watch one of fucking Dan's. And when you're probably pretty drunk and you're annoyed that you're staying with your parents and you're in the basement, you watch one of Stewart's. Yeah. I think it's pretty fucking clear.
I think that is clear. I think you made a great point.
Fucking bake up some pizza rolls. Squirt some Go-Gurt on your pizza rolls.
You stuff your face.
Yeah. Have a snack.
Watch the Man of the Family.
It's like a one-man party.
And you see an invisible head rip his ding-dong off.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That leads us to movie recommendations. Yeah. And tonight I'm going to recommend Head of the Invisible Freak. Okay? Why have a castle when you're a maniac? Am I right?
I want to believe that
that's a pretty good title for a movie, though. By the way.
I want to believe that you created that movie just by editing the other 3 movies together. The same way a friend of mine years ago told me about how he edited all 3 RoboCop movies into one movie, and I thought that he had intercut the scenes, but all he did was he stopped the movies before the credits and then put up a title that said 3 years later.
Genius. That is genius fucking editing job.
So
it's like one movie.
So RoboCop ends, fade out. 3 years later, RoboCop 2 starts.
Good work, Vera Fields. Oh man.
So you're recommending what now?
I don't know.
Oogieloves?
You go. It's your turn.
Wait, hold on.
I was gonna pass it off. I don't really have one this week.
Okay.
You don't have one.
I mean, I would recommend. So watching Oogieloves, it reminds me of movies with puppets that I really like. So I'd recommend Meet the Feebles probably again.
Now, what's the age group for that?
Meet the Feebles, yeah, probably 4 or 5 year olds.
Meet the Feebles. I would say I recommend ages 18 to 24.
And high. It's a strange movie where the recommended age is high.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson's puppet-based horror show.
Yeah.
So Meet the
Pretty
Feebles.
good recommendation.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to recommend 2 movies. As I was saying to Elliot on the train, they represent the entire spectrum of film going. On one side of the spectrum, I would like to recommend Santa Sangre by Alejandro Jodorowsky.
I fucking hate
Jodorowsky.
The guy who did The Holy Mountain and El Topo.
What an asshole.
Almost directed Dune, but it didn't get off the ground.
So Stuart objects, and we'll get into that in a second.
I don't object with his movies. He's just an asshole.
Is he?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah, I'd read some interviews with him. You'll be shocked. It's Vincent Gallo times 10.
Whoa.
So I would recommend I would recommend that movie on the one side of the film-going spectrum, and the other side, I recommend Pitch Perfect, the Kay Cannon written movie about a cappella singers. Starring, what's her face from Up in the Air?
Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick.
Abigail Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick.
So if you want sort of a cross between a Almodovar movie and a David Lynch film that's kind of a weird circus-themed horror film.
Pitch Perfect it is.
Then watch Santa Sangre. And if you want a goofy, light a cappella comedy starring a lot of cute ladies that doesn't necessarily add up to any sort of plot that makes sense, but is a pleasant viewing experience, watch Pitch Perfect.
So that's, if you want to know what it's like to be in Dan McCoy's head all the time, watch a double feature of
Santa Sangre and Pitch Perfect.
All the time.
Who's winning? Who knows?
We all know whoever wins, we lose.
That's on the poster for Dan's head?
Yeah. For Dan's head, the movie.
Head of the family.
Dan's head of the invisible Dan's head of the family castle. I will recommend a movie then, because it's my turn to do that.
Sure.
I'm going to recommend a movie I don't think I recommended before. It's a Milos Forman movie called Taking Off. This is a movie that he made. It may have been his first American movie now that I think about it, actually. He made it in the early 70s about 2 parents. Buck Henry is the dad, and I don't remember who plays the mom, their daughter runs off, and they try to find her, but really what they're doing is kind of bumping up against their own inability to be stable adults and kind of to be parents who understand their kid, and in the way they kind of reach the limits of their own what's it called? Social Order. I don't know how to put it. It's a very funny movie, and I'm describing in a way that's not funny. And it's intercut with scenes from what I guess is supposed to be like an open mic audition for a number of various young people singing different songs. And among one of them is a very young Kathy Bates who sings a song I guess she wrote because she's credited with it. That's a bizarre folk song that involves winged horses. But it's a very funny movie and a very touching movie. And it's a movie that kind of gets across better than other movies I've seen what that generation gap must have been like between the baby boomer generation and their parents, but from the point of view of the parents at a time when the audience's sympathies were pretty much always with the kids. And it's a really good movie. Now, this movie is out of print on video, and it's never been released on DVD.
So we can't see it.
No, wrong. Because, and I normally wouldn't recommend it this way, but the whole movie's up on YouTube in one video. So if you do a YouTube search for Taking Off 1971, the entire movie is in one video in pretty good quality, actually, video-wise. And that's how I watched it, because it's hard to see otherwise unless it's playing in a repertory theater near you, and a revival theater. But it's really good, and it's a very, like, touching movie that's also funny and feels the closest I can think of like a Czech New Wave movie made in the United States.
And if it's on YouTube, you can just watch it at work or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just watch it at work, on a phone.
And then when you're done, watch that video of those kids who had just watched The Odd Life of Timothy Green freaking out, because that's hilarious.
I mean, you can watch that cat that plays the keyboard.
So sad about Timothy Green dying.
You can watch any video you want. It's YouTube. But first, I'd say watch this one. And one of the things I like about it that I'll mention is there are a lot of people in it who do not have what you would think of as movie faces. They have like regular real-life faces. And it's a thing that movies used to have a lot more of, and now you almost never see it. Anyone in a movie is either super beautiful or ridiculously goofy, and there's no in between. There's no like normal looking people anymore. So you can get your fill off of normal looking people in this movie.
Guys, I just want to point out something that I noticed on the theme of making fun of Elliot, which appears to be the mailbag theme of this episode. I've noticed that when I'm making a movie recommendation, it's almost impossible for me to get through it due to the interruptions. When Stuart's making a movie recommendation, there's still a fair number of interruptions.
Hey,
when Elliot talks about a movie, somehow we both fall silent.
I think we found the missing link between about what's causing that, and it's me. It's the guy who can't stop
interrupt
talking.
yourself.
Come on, I could try.
Yeah.
I think that's a challenge.
Probably,
that's the challenge I'll pick up next time, if I remember, which I won't.
See if Elliot can interrupt himself.
If there is a next time, because I think Oogieloves broke us.
I think we might need to take some time off after this one. But we're not, though.
As the photo I posted to the Facebook group showed, with Stuart, again, face down on the ground.
Just, you've never seen just heartbreak, quitting. He has quit life at that point. It's the moment when someone's on a long march in a war movie and they just drop, and it's like, you know what, I can't walk anymore.
I've been giving Dan the football to hold for so long, and he keeps yanking it away from me.
Well, it's like what the quote says: "When you're tired of Oogieloves, you're tired of life."
No. When you're watching Oogieloves, you're trying to escape life.
Well, it's time, sadly, to sign off. For the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
I'm still Stuart Wellington.
And I'll always be Elliot Kalin. What's that? Oh, come on, I'm trying to say my name. Can you not interrupt me for once? I interrupted myself. Oogieloves! Oogieloves!
You rewatch it from the beginning until they discover who killed Laura Palmer.
And then you're done.
And then maybe if you want to skip ahead, you can watch the finale.
Yeah, because the end of the finale is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Although I was so mad about it at the time. I'm like, what? They can't. No! But Coop. That's very sad.
Butt Coop.
Butt coop. That's where you keep your butts.
All right.
I tell you, I wanted to build a butt coop in my backyard, but my wife doesn't want me to raise butts. Maybe we'll save money on eggs.
Good stuff.
Because eggs come out of butts?
They come out of someone's butt.
Sure.
The chickens.